goodness, unbelievable. I'm going to start wearing a sweatshirt in the morning. I came in here, we have fans on. We can't do that. Energy's been really good this week. We obviously talked a lot about the lack of energy we had on Friday night, and that you have to earn the right to win a game. And if you don't come out with all you've got and play your best, then you're probably not going to win the game. We're not good enough to do that at this point. But practice yesterday was really good. Practice today was really good. And the guys are excited about the challenge of playing Appalachian. Also can't wait to see our crowd at 3:30 for the students to pick up all their tickets in less than 30 minutes. And every ticket sold out. And so many high school coaches now are wanting to come and begging for tickets. We've got waiting lists now for our high school coaches. So it's an exciting time. We just need to come out and play faster in the ball game. We need to get a better start, especially on offense.
How do you coach energy before a game?
I think like you do in your life, you have to learn to create it. You have to create an edge in everything you do every day, and it's hard to do, but what a great lesson for our coaches and our players last week that we didn't create it and we got beat. And if we had created it, maybe we'd be 3-0, but you can't look back at that. So every day in your life, if you get up and you're sick, and you got a wife and kids, you got to have energy, and you got to create an edge, and you got to do the things you need to do. And that's why you can learn really good life lessons from a loss. You'd rather not. You'd rather learn it from a close win. But sometimes it gets your attention better when you get beat, and it helps you grow faster.
You've said before that you want teams to be player-led, not coach-led. Did you see some of that emerge after the loss, because adversity will sometimes bring that out?
I did. The players are these guys, again, have done everything we've asked them to do. We were aware that we spent a lot of energy in the first two games, and that was a huge week for them to step up and see if they could manage it. And as a group, we didn't. So this week, I think we're seeing more guys that are stepping up and talking more and being more involved. And we've got more seniors on defense than we do offense. So the offense has got to create some of that leadership as we go.
Like, what are the biggest challenges App presents for you?
They have a great tailback. He's leading the nation in rushing after his first two games, and he's really, really fast. He's a great kick returner. Their receivers are tall and fast, and then you add Sutton to it. Defensively, they're really quick and can run. They have a lot of movement at the line of scrimmage, and those guys are hard to block. We got big old guys, and they're a little bit shorter, but they're so quick and powerful that they've played great defense up there.
Given that they've had two relatively easy games, how difficult is it to scout them with a new coaching staff?
You look at Wake playing Rice and Wake playing Utah State, which our guys know nothing about, and they didn't play with the energy against those two that they did against us. This is a very similar situation. So what we've just told our guys is watch the athletes, don't watch the energy, because the energy in our game Saturday is going to be totally different from their first two games. So it's really a wasted video for us, other than just a few schemes.
When you watched it, were they keeping things pretty vanilla in those two games?
Yes. When they opened up with two teams they were better than, and you don't have to show much. And usually what you do is you have stuff in your package, and you don't use it unless you need to. I think we'll see different things on Saturday.
Do you think a team like App comes in there with a chip on their shoulder because this is the flagship school and they're the smaller school and the non-Power 5 school in Boone?
Absolutely. It's 100%. We've played them once in 1940. This is a great opportunity for them to beat a Power 5 school. Them, like Boise, like Central Florida, are trying to be that New Year's Group of 5 bowl team with the highest rating. Their schedule's not such that unless they beat somebody like us that they'll be able to do that, most likely. So this is a huge game for them, and that's what I've told our guys. They better look at it as a huge game for us.
Their quarterback was their conference offensive player of the year last year. He's a really good runner. What are some of the challenges that he presents? He is a young man that can run and throw. He's very athletic. He seems to be, a lot of our guys know him, and they talk about him being such a great leader and such a great young man. He's a very accurate thrower, so he's really a good football player. And anytime you got a quarterback that can run and throw,
And if you get after him, you blitz him, and you miss, there's a lot of green grass out there. So you gotta make sure that you pass rush a guy like that differently. Got to contain him.
On Monday night, you talked about your team's leadership committee. Who are some of the players that are on that, and what have you seen out of them through this early in the season? It
would be the ones you would pick. It's the ones that you talk about every game. I mean, that's the ones that are usually picked by the team for leadership committee, and we tried to get them to get some from every class, and then even get a walk-on because we wanted representation from every different angle. So, and they do things. They'll pick the post-game meal after a win. The meal we have on Sunday. They'll pick whether we go to a movie or not. If it's a noon or 3:30 game on Friday night, they'll pick what we wear. Basically, we've got basic uniforms that we wear home and away, but then they can change up the away one a little bit, and then they have 2 alternative uniforms they can use at any time they want to during the season. So they do a lot of things like that. If there's something that I feel like a player may be getting in trouble, we meet with them and say, here's what we got. What are your opinions? What do you think's best for the team? And our deal is that they know that I make all final decisions, but I want our coaches' input, I want our staff input, and I want our players' input. And instead of trying to get input from 120, I just get it from about 23.
You mentioned the high school coaches, maybe their interest increasing a little bit more with the way the season has started. Have you seen an uptick in terms of how recruiting has gone since the first game?
Absolutely. In fact, we've got a lot of guys committed, and now we're having guys that are showing interest because they weren't. All the competition was telling them, well, they're not going to win any games. So you just better get ready. You're not going to stay committed to them. And now we got a lot of guys that are calling us wanting to come. So we're having to look at numbers now and seeing what we do here in the end.
What are the 2 alternate jersey options y'all have?
I think one of them at home includes Navy.
Okay.
And then I think the one on the roads probably includes Navy, but it's with, obviously you have to wear white jerseys on the road.
Okay.
Some of the guys yesterday talked about how Sam has become a little bit more vocal, certainly in the last few days. Is it encouraging to see that layer of his development already beginning after just 3 games?
Yes, with he and Jace, they've got no experience. So every game brings them out more, and they understand what that leadership role has to be, because the center and the quarterback are the only 2 that touch it every time that we're on the field, and the center doesn't keep it long. So the quarterback's the guy that's got to be the leader, and he and Jace are really trying hard to step up in that leadership role.
Is that something that it's a lot easier for a kid who just turned 19 to be able to do that because he's had some success?
Yes. Winning the first 2 games was huge because, and Jace getting 2 series the other night, because the guys know how important that position is, and they look up to that position, and they know he's back there and he can see everything, and they got their head down and can't see what's going on, or they're worried about their 2 guys, and Sam and Jace have to worry about everything. So that's such a key position, and we're lucky to have both those guys. And I think we'll see them, and therefore our offense, get better every week.
How do you guys assess the blocking that you've gotten from receivers and tight ends on the outside?
The downfield blocking has been really good for both receivers and tight ends. It's been good. We've been too inconsistent inside. We had to move Nick Polino to center to start with because McCargo left the team, and then he gets hurt. So now we're struggling some at center to make sure we get the right combinations in there. And then you've got a couple other guys that have been banged up. So our offensive line needs to get more continuity, and we need to be tougher in the offensive line. We took over the South Carolina game. We're really physical in the 4th quarter. We did some good things in the 4th quarter against Miami. We came back in the 4th quarter the other night, but we got to start the game better.
With all the injuries on defensive line, offensive line in general on teams, do you think it's important to oversign at those 2 positions?
Absolutely.
In recruiting? Is that something you try to do?
It is, and it's hard to do because where are you going to undersign? One of the funniest things about recruiting is you sit in a staff meeting and say, Lonnie, how many receivers do you need? Oh, 28. Yeah, well, how many centers do you need, Stacy? I need 5 minimum. And if you could sign 125 guys, that'd be good. So I have to make the decision. It's not just the numbers at that position. It's how many good players are at that position. you may have 13 receivers, but 4 of them may not be good enough to help you win. So then that's where recruiting gets to be a bind, because how many do you sign when you've got numbers, but you don't have the numbers that you need?
Do you think center is a position where you should take one every year, or at least someone that could play that position? Right now you're kind of in a pinch with backups and stuff.
Well, it is, and we're looking at all the guys at center right now, too. We're looking at Wyatt Tanal. So anybody who can snap and is smart has a chance to be a center. So every offensive lineman you sign, you look at center and left tackle are the 2 key positions that you have to have a chance to make it.
When you're looking at prospects, is center a more difficult position to gauge than the other offensive line positions?
It is, because usually they're smaller, and you have to look at growth potential. And if they don't grow, they can't get there. So, and if you think about it, he's got to know all the calls, so he's got to be really smart. He's got to be able to snap the ball between his legs and usually have a 325-pounder right on his nose that he's got to try to block, or he's always reaching and going right and left. So to get the perfect snap, and we had some poor snaps the other night, but to get the perfect snap and reach is a difficult thing to do.
App State was your first coaching job, so I was just wondering, over the years, like for you on game day, like what is your game day preparation like, and like how has that changed since the beginning?
I'm trying to have more fun with game day preparation. We get up, we have an early breakfast, and then you always eat a pregame meal 4 hours before the game, and then you meet with the guys. You'll have walkthroughs early, and you try to keep them moving and keep their minds on football and not let them drift. And then I meet with them right before we go to the stadium. But most of my talks with them are during the week, trying to build up to what we want to do. I don't think you can get a lot of their attention on Friday night or Saturday. By Saturday, they're so hyped and ready to go that they're not going to listen as much. So we'll practice in the morning, and then I'll take a 30-minute span of time in the morning, and I'll go over everything that we're going to do to win the game. And I'll have different graphics and different things just to show them what I feel like. We'll go back over Appalachian State, what they do really well. We'll have our coordinator stand up and say, here's what we have to do on defense to win the game. And so that'll be a 30-minute meeting. It's really an important meeting for us. My game day stuff, by the time I get here, I got alums I got to see, I got recruits I got to see. I was talking to lacrosse recruits and basketball recruits on the field right before the Miami game. I was having to worry to look and see where Manny Diaz was so I wouldn't miss him, because so many people bring in their recruits and they want them to come to the game, because that shows them the spirit on this campus.
Why did you end up leaving App State? You were there for 1 year.
I was making $38,500, and Oklahoma offered me $125,000 to be the offensive coordinator. And I thought, I probably should look at this. And I really hated it, because I loved Appalachian State and still live up there, like we said, and go up there every chance we get, and just love the people in that community and the place, and the fact that they gave me a chance. And it was also good that we were making progress and Sparky could take the job. So when Sparky was our offensive coordinator, I thought it was an easier move, because it didn't hurt App. They could keep the same staff. It didn't hurt the coaches, because they could stay, and Sparky was going to stay. So that made it all work.
I got a story from someone up there last night that said that when you first arrived, I didn't get all the details, but maybe you can fill them out. You kicked the best player off the team, and an assistant coach stepped up and wanted to keep the player, but you said that he could stay if the assistant went to 6 a.m. workouts with him. Is that the case?
No, but we did have some guys leave that weren't doing the right things, and we asked them to, here are things you've got to do to stay in this program, and some didn't, and they left when we first got there. Everett Withers, for example, was a safety for us, and he was our captain that first year. So a lot of ties. We signed John Settle that first year, and he ended up having 4,000-yard rushing years. And John was looked at as a fullback here and at NC State, but he wanted to be a tailback, so we were lucky. And Appalachian gets a lot of great players like that. And most of the guys have been turned down by us or State on that team, and that they were just mistakes, because they end up being really good players and go to the NFL, but they will play hard Saturday. All righty.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.
If I